Hey guys, it's Jim here. Welcome back to another episode of Would I Rebuy This Guitar? Now, over the last few weeks, I've been doing a lot more documentation of Fender Japan and the history and working on videos for stuff like that. And I saw some of the Paisley ones and I thought to myself, I've never talked about the first made in Japan guitar that I purchased new. And that was a 2008 Blue Flower Fender Stratocaster. Now, at the time that I purchased this guitar, I was in a bit of a lull with music. I didn't have an active band, but I still went to Parkway all the time just to kind of see if maybe there would be some instrument that would show up and kind of reignite the spark, and it was just a creature of habit. I went to my local music store I loved. And during one of those pointless trips to the guitar shop, Tom, the owner of Parkway Music, asked me if I wanted to check out some guitars that he had the ability to order from Japan, and I said, sure, I'll have a look, we'll see what they have. He showed me the pink Paisley version and this blue flower one. He told me, look, these guitars are as good as you're going to get build quality wise. You're simply never going to get a better value. Throw in a pair of Lawler pickups and you have a guitar that will serve you for life. And I took this with a lot of weight because Tom is somebody to this day, I respect his opinion when it comes to gear and music more than 99% of the people I've ever met in my life. The guy just knows his shit. So I thought about it for 5 or 10 minutes. I looked at both. I didn't have that hard of a time choosing at this point. I would end up with the pink Paisley Telecaster later, which I've already told you about. But I went with the blue flower one, and it was only $800, and I was really excited to get it. So after a week or two, they gave me a call from the shop and said, your guitar has arrived. I took it home in the box, and when I unboxed it at home, it was the first time I was really surprised that Fender Japan used such cheap gig bags. I say that a lot on this channel, I know that. But it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, well, even the Mexican one came with a better gig bag than this. But once I opened the gig bag, I was blown away by the craftsmanship. Tom told no lies. This guitar had a much bigger neck on it than the JV did. The JV has a very, very, very thin neck. And at first, I did not like this guitar at all. I had not played many other guitars seriously for quite some time. And being so used to the JV Stratocaster, going to something that has a substantial neck, this felt like a Telecaster, like an old Telecaster, big old U. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but the craftsmanship of it was amazing. The finish was fantastic. It was gorgeous. And I liked it so much visually that I decided I was going to stick it out. And eventually, when I started going out and playing live again, I would bring this guitar with me, and I get a lot of compliments. But if I went to certain kinds of bars, I get a lot of funny looks. I'm talking about the bars where everything's a little bit dirtier. They're used to playing classic rock or, 80s aggressive metal and stuff like that. They see, 5'8" guy like me walk in with a blue flower Stratocaster, and they're thinking, are you at the right gig? But the guitar was great. I loved everything about it. It did catch my attention. It caught other people's attention. It felt so good. And for how much I didn't like the neck when I first got it, because I was so used to the JV, this really grew on me, and it kind of got me to wanting to be more open to trying other guitar shapes and styles. It would be a few years before I would really do that, but it kind of led my brain to be more open to the suggestion and the idea of experimenting a little bit more than I had been. And when I decided I was going to be moving to Florida to pursue my career at the horrible scam school known as Full Sail University to become a recording engineer, I brought this guitar and the JV Strat with me. That was pretty much it. And it served me well, and I think that they were different enough. The JV has a little bit more of an aggressive bite to it, and with this guitar, the blue one, was much more mellow. And I think the combination of having the bigger neck on it with it being a little bit more mellow tonally, it provided a really good contrast to the JV. The JV felt like a knife cutting through, and this felt like more of the body, the kind of backing to it. So the guitars work together very well despite both being, Stratocasters. And I love this guitar so much, and a girl I dated, she liked this guitar so much. When we ended up living together, we started buying guitars and collecting them, not to sell them. We lost a lot of money doing this, but she ended up buying the pink version of this guitar, and we had, our little family photo set. How freaking lame is that? I know, guys, I know. But I ended up selling this guitar after I moved to San Diego, and I was about 5 months into it, and I couldn't afford it. When I moved out there, I came with about maybe $6,000-$7,000 worth of cash, And after I'd gotten myself settled, that was a few $1,000s right there, just getting an apartment. I think that was like $3,800. I had to pay money to lease a car and all that fun stuff. And I was still looking for work. I was getting a few bucks here and there going out and playing, smaller shows and stuff like that, but not enough to cover the bills. And I was short one month and I ended up selling this guy. And one pointless ability I have is I am very capable of retaining pointless information. And I remember exactly how much I sold this guitar for. I sold this guitar with those pickups in it and one of those musician's friends tweed cases before the prices went up for them. I spent $60 on it. Yeah, see, I remembered that too. I sold it with all of that for $550. Now, if you look at the market now, obviously, I could have made a lot more money. But you have to consider, at that time, reverb really wasn't that big of a thing yet. And finding a buyer locally that was interested in a blue flower Fender Stratocaster was a bit harder than I had anticipated, and as well as the fact that I really needed the money to pay the rent so I didn't get thrown out onto the street. I took a little bit less than, I thought the guitar was truly worth. But to wrap this up, would I rebuy this guitar? If they made another reissue of it and I could get it new for the actual going rate, which is about $1,000, I would. But the used prices, they're just, I don't think they're worth it. I saw one sell for $1,450 with some serious dings and issues, but this is a guitar that I do like that they do a poly finish on it. I don't think I would like one of these in a nitro finish because I think the aesthetic of it works so well in the pristine condition. I think once it starts to get, a little bit of wear on it, it loses kind of that luster. And I don't feel that way about many guitars, but I think with PRS guitars and with the flower and paisley Fenders, that's just my preference. I'd rather them stay pristine. But that's all I got for you guys. I have to go and get ready. We actually booked our first gig in Florida. We're going to be playing, I think, August 8th. We have a 3-hour set. Now, what the hell is that? My first gig in over a year because of this whole shutdown thing, and I'm getting thrown back into the wolves for a 3-hour set with my wife. So I got a lot of prepping to do, a lot of work to do. I'm not too worried about it. We got the PRS, it's gonna stay in tune, and I'm excited to use the quad Cortex for that and the vocal, and we'll see how that comes out. I'm sure you're gonna have no shortage of updates and footage as far as that goes, and as far as us starting to really go out and start playing live in the future. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another guitar related video. I'm thinking more quad Cortex stuff, but I don't know, it's subject to change. I do have 2 things in the mail, but we'll learn more about those this week. Take it easy, you guys.